How much choline do we need? I take 140 milligrams of choline a day. 140, it depends, Mark. If you are deficient in choline, you need, upwards of 600-700 milligrams of choline a day. So you're going to get some of that through your diet. And if you're taking an additional supplemental 140 milligrams a day, it just depends, I would say, depends on where your form of choline is coming from. Is it true that lecithin is the antidote to cholesterol? I heard that from Dr. Berg. You could kind of say it that way because lecithin, again, think about what lecithin represents. And I don't want to put words in Dr. Berg's mouth one way or the other. But lecithin generally is a source of phosphatidylcholine, which is what your liver uses as a lipotrophic to prevent the fat deposition into the liver. It's also important because it helps the liver understand how more properly to make the different types of cholesterol. So in that regard, I don't disagree with that statement. Started taking ultra nutrients a week ago. Could that possibly cause constipation? Not typically, no. I mean, the best way to know for sure, Arizona, would be to stop it for a week. And if you aren't constipated and then you start it for a week and you get constipated, then there may be something in it that's helping, drive that constipation. A lot of questions about TMAO. I think I answered that one. The only time you got to worry about taking choline and elevating your TMAO is if you are, again, if you're using lecithin, phosphatidylcholine, or if you're using the acetylcholine. But if you're using choline citrate, you don't have to worry about TMAO. Again, one of the reasons why I like that over the others. Can H. pylori be passed through saliva? Yes, it can. You can get it through sexual transactions or transmission. You can get it through oral transmission through saliva. So absolutely, it's a possibility. Oh, Gail, you're sweet. Gail says, I've been watching Jonathan Landsman's Cardiovascular Summit. Dr. Osborne blew them all out of the water with the information. Thank you. That really means a lot to me. I really try to bring my A game to you guys every week. So I'm glad that you found value in that conversation. If I have high TMAO, is there any supplement that I can take, or is it just diet? If you've got high TMAO, you probably got gut dysbiosis, honestly. Most people that have elevations in TMAO, it's not because you eat meat. It's because you have bacterial abnormalities that lead to the action on that meat that can drive up that compound, but it's not just because of the meat. That's one of the myths of the vegetarian diet versus a meat diet, is that meat people have a higher risk of cancer because of TMAO, but it's not really the case. It's when you have gut dysbiosis, that's what really drives it. It's not the meat per se, but it's the gut dysbiosis. Do people that have had hepatitis-C many years ago and been non-detectable since then have choline issues on average? I haven't seen research on that one, Robbie, so I can't say for sure. I've seen cases where people have had hepatitis-C and had choline deficiency. Choline deficiency is quite common. I see it. I'd say people that come into my office, I probably see it anywhere between 30 to 40% of people that we test. Please explain methylation as you did once, very simply. I can't find the video. You said something about gears. We'll save that for another day. That's not a short conversation, but yes, I did. We talk about it in forms of gears because methylation is like turning gears and different chemical processes. But again, I would say we'll have to save that topic. Maybe we can do an entire show on that. Let's see here. When I do the vitamin C flush, I only have diarrhea once, maybe twice, and that is it. I don't flush as much as it should happen, needing to stay near a toilet. Am I just super constipated? Maybe so, Laura. And it may be that you need to increase your dose during a flush. Sometimes people underdose during the flush, or they pull back from the flush too quickly because they get nervous. How important is acetylcholine in the brainstem for vagus nerve and autonomic nervous system? I think I answered that question already. If taking zinc and iron to help with deficiency, can any doctor need monitor them? Which should they order for the best testing? Look, I don't recommend that you hire a doctor to monitor your nutrition who doesn't understand nutrition, because this is just what I see, Marcus. I see this so often is the patient will go in and ask their doctor, hey, measure this or measure that. The doctor runs a test, not knowing whether it's the right test or the wrong test. And they don't know how to read it. They don't know how to interpret it. And most patients don't know how to read or interpret it with any great degree of accuracy. And so what you're doing is you're flying blind. This is, when you're talking about measuring and monitoring nutrition status, you want to work with somebody who knows what they're talking about. It's kind of like with electrical work. If you're not an electrician and you don't know much about electricity, you don't go tinkering with the circuit box in your house and not expect to mess something up or get shocked. And I would say the same thing when you have a problem and you're trying to monitor that nutrition because of deficiency. You really want to work with an expert. Would a deficiency of choline cause muscle cramping at night? It can. There's actually research studies that show choline is very critical for electrolyte balance from the kidneys. We didn't really talk about that tonight, but yes, it can. Having high CK, creatine kinase numbers, even after not exercising, yes. That's the creatine kinase markers being elevated. Now, what I would ask you to ask your doctor about, Mary, would be ask your doctors to run what's called a creatine kinase isoenzyme test. So there's CK, creatine kinase, but there are different kinds of creatine kinase. Some creatine kinase is released by muscles, some are released by the liver, some released by the brain, and so have them do the isoenzyme test to differentiate. But that may be something that's elevated as a result of choline deficiency. Certainly can be the case. My homocysteine is 12.2, down from 14. What can I do to reduce it to a healthy range? I'd say get your nutrition status checked, because homocysteine is impacted by a number of different things. Number of different things can lower it. B12 can lower it. Folate can lower it. B6 can lower it. B2 can lower it. Choline can lower it. SAMe, S-adenosine, methionine can lower it. These are all the different things that nutritionally can help lower or reduce your homocysteine. And so if you're trying to get it down, this is something you can do nutritionally, supplementally, but which ones is dependent upon where you're lacking. And then the other thing that sometimes homocysteine, we'll see elevations in homocysteine as a result of kidney problems. And I see a lot of people in stage 2, 3, 4 kidney failure, where no matter how much of these things you give, you're not pulling that down their homocysteine until you resolve why that's happening. And again, there's a lot of reasons why that might be happening, but if we're just talking nutritionally, those are the primary drivers of methylation nutritionally that can lower or help bring down your homocysteine. Let's see here. Rita, what's a good supplement to build muscle and gain weight? Creatine is really good. Whey protein's terrible. Most whey protein is junk. It's derived from A1 dairy. It's heat processed. They put a bunch of synthetic chemicals in it to make it taste good. So my experience with whey protein, those over-the-counter muscle magazines and all that, most of that's nonsense. Now, creatine is not. Creatine monohydrate is a very safe way to, if you're trying to put on muscle mass, you take 5 grams a day, for rounds of up to 6 weeks. I wouldn't really go longer on it than 6 weeks. Just cycle it. But that's a good way to build muscle. And outside of that, a good protein beyond whey protein, if your nephew just insists on taking a protein, is have him check out our ultra pure protein. It's hands down, it's got the highest nitrogen rating score of any protein known. So in my opinion, you have a distinct advantage if you're trying to put on mass or muscle using ultra pure protein over a whey protein. Does the Wi-Fi also affect the DNA of food kept within the home too? I would imagine it does. I haven't seen any research studies. It doesn't mean they don't exist. I just haven't read any personally where Wi-Fi radiation impacts the food. But radiation is radiation. If you look at how radiation affects cells, it affects DNA. That's one of the problems with radiation. And low levels of radiation, we're now finding, may actually be more detrimental, because at low levels of radiation, your cell's antioxidant mechanisms, sometimes they don't kick on because the level is so low. But if it's low and consistent, those antioxidant mechanisms are never told to kick on. And so you actually, even though the damage is smaller than a bulk dose of radiation, when you get bulk radiation, your antioxidant systems definitely kick on and start protecting you. But if your mechanism is not being told to turn on, then that lower level can just slowly, eat away at your health. Is it okay for kids to eat a no-meat diet? As I hear, it inhibits growth. I think it's a terrible idea for kids to be vegan. I think it's terrible. I think it's child abuse, honestly. Children need, it's not to say that a person couldn't be on a plant-based diet, but the reality is this: children need to grow. They need protein. You want to be very, very cautious about restricting a child's growth to that level, especially at certain age groups, right? At certain times. Even if you look at humans, by design, dairy, we consume human dairy, right? Generally, most humans are designed to consume human dairy for the first 2 to 3 years of life. So imagine you have your baby, and you formula feed instead of breastfeed, and then some doctor says, yeah, go on a vegetarian diet. That baby's doomed. I mean, that baby has a very poor outlook nutritionally. To me, it's not okay for babies to be, or even young kids to be on a meat restricted diet. I think, now understand this too, there are some people better suited for that, but I think you have to look at the situation and you have to look at the individual. A lot of individuals, metabolically speaking, do better on a lower meat diet, but a no meat diet is a different thing altogether. And I would just warn or caution anybody from doing that to a child who's trying to grow. Okay, let's keep going down on the left. Is it okay to take vitamins B and C together? Yes. You don't have to wait between them. They're not going to interfere or interact with each other in any negative way. So choline citrate should be taken with magnesium. Yeah, I mean, if you struggle with magnesium, a lot of people do. They take magnesium and they got to get 800 plus. Sometimes I've seen people taking up to 2,000 milligrams a day of magnesium and not correcting their magnesium, and then we add choline, and just like that, it corrects. So it's not a bad idea. The two definitely work synergistically together. I just got a liver ultrasound. They said I have mild fatty liver disease. Yeah, so you got to figure that out, Robert. There's a lot of reasons why people develop mild or just fatty liver disease in general, but probably one of the biggest from the diet is gluten. Food allergies, food sensitivities can do it. Bacterial imbalance, there's chemical toxins that bacteria in the gut can produce called lipopolysaccharides that we know can cause fatty liver. There's numerous different environmental toxins that can contribute to it. I've seen mold cause it and mycotoxins cause it. How many egg yolks can I eat per a day to get enough choline? Don't think of it as how many egg yolks, because egg is just one food with choline. Eat a battery of different foods with choline. Don't just dive into egg yolks. I'd eat some beef, I'd eat some liver, I'd eat some egg, I'd eat some brassica family vegetables. I'd eat all those things, with a variety to get your choline on the regular. Can gluten cause anxiety? No doubt about it. Gluten can definitely cause anxiety. Let's see. When are you getting methylcobalamin back in stock? I think we're going to be out for a few weeks. So if you're trying to get methylcobalamin, you can still use my multivitamin. Ultra Nutrients has methylcobalamin in it, as does my multi-nutrients. Both of my multis have methylcobalamin. Food sensitivity test, when's it going to be ready? I'm hoping in the next 3 to 4 weeks, Lynn. We'll let you guys know once it's up and running, once it's ready to go. Combination of choline and inositol, is it good? It can be, again, depending on the source of choline. Inositol is very good too. Inositol and choline they do a lot of things together. They're both lipotrophic for the liver, meaning they help the liver metabolize fat appropriately. They're both secondary messengers for hormonal transmission, and so they're both very important in that regard. So yes, you can take them together. Is there a radiation protocol one should be on when traveling by flight, often with the exposure? Yeah, iodine. One of the reasons I have iodine in my multivitamin ultra nutrients is iodine is one of the most natural ways to assist your body in protecting itself from radiation. So if you remember when Fukushima, when the Japanese power plant, nuclear plant, was spilling radiation into the ocean, why was there a worldwide shortage of iodine? It's because iodine is a radiation antidote. And so it's one of the best things that you can make sure you eat enough of. And we get iodine predominantly from ocean food, right? From seafood, seaweed, kelp, and ocean fish. But I put it in my multivitamin for that reason. And if you need higher amounts, I have a legal solution called Ultra Iodine that I would encourage you to check out. It's a grain-free, gluten-free, grain-free iodine formula. Hey, if you've got a functional medicine or health question that you'd like me to answer for you, make sure you send me an email, glutenology@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to create a video answer just for you. Have a great day.